a period of time, there is involution of the breast, and the fibroglandular tissue will be replaced by the fatty tissue. Okay. And this is a mammogram. Mammogram is just like X-ray of the breast. Okay, and you can see the white tissue, which can be seen. Okay, this is the fibroglandular tissue, and surrounding the fibroglandular tissue, the black areas are representing fat. Okay, as I told you that the fat appears grayish black on X-ray, and the soft tissues appears white. So that's why the fibroglandular tissue appears white on mammogram, and surrounding black areas are fatty breast tissue. Okay, and if you can see here that behind the breast, okay, at the posterior aspect, okay, there is a you can see the fibers going. Okay, this is a muscle, okay, which can be visualized, okay, in mammogram. This is pectoralis major muscle. So this is a basically special projection in which this is basically a mediolateral oblique projection. We want to see the anterior margin of pectoralis major muscle, and see the pectoralis major muscle. Why? Because sometimes there are tumors which may be invading the pectoralis major muscle and the rib cage. So we want to visualize the posterior aspect of the breast as well. Okay, so we divide the breast into four quadrants: upper outer, upper inner, lower outer, and lower inner quadrants. Okay, uh, this is we have divided the breast into four quadrants for our convenience. Okay, and there is basically increased incidence of cancer in different quadrants. Okay, like in upper outer quadrant, this is the most commonest area where breast cancer occurs. After upper outer quadrant, retroareolar region is the most common site, and after retroareolar region, the upper inner quadrant is the most common site for development of breast cancer. Okay, and so we have divided. First of all, we have divided the breast into four quadrants. Then, during clinical examination or ultrasound, okay, because the patient is with us during the clinical examination as well as during the ultrasound. Okay, so we can divide the breast in with the help of clock position. Okay, so to define the true position of the lesion, okay, first of all we will explain it with the help of the quadrant, but we also take the help of the clock position. Like this is the 12 o'clock position. If there is a mass here, okay, we can say this is at the 1 o'clock position. If there is a mass here, we can say this is in the 2 o'clock position. So just to define the location of the mass, we can use also during the ultrasound, we can use the help of the clock position also. Okay. Starting with different imaging modalities, the most important is the mammography. Okay, why mammography? Because mammography is basically used as a screening tool. Okay, breast cancer, it is the second most common cancer in women. Okay, and due to its high incidence, we start to screen the patients at early age. Okay, if there is, we will discuss in indications what are different age groups, okay, in which we start screening. Okay, but starting with mammography, it is the process of using low energy X-rays to examine the human breast and is used primarily as a screening tool. The goal of mammography is the early detection of the breast cancer. So our main goal of performing mammography is to detect early detection of the breast cancer. Okay, the more early we detect, the more better prognosis of the disease. Mammography is mainly used as a screening tool. There is estimated reduction in mortality up to 25%. Okay, and 10% false positive rate. Okay, sometimes we perform surgeries or take biopsies. They on imaging they appear to be um, basically cancerous, but when they we perform the biopsy or surgery, they prove out to be um basically benign masses, but only 10%. But still, we have reduced the mortality up to 25%. So, what are the indications for mammography? As I told you, that the main purpose is for screening. So, screening in every woman who is above 50 years of age. If she is above 50 years of age, then we will perform screening. And if she is 35 above 35 years of age, okay, and we will perform screening in those women who are at high risk of developing breast cancer. Okay, like which females are at high risk, like females who have cancer history of cancer in family. Okay, uh, but they should be first degree relatives, like mother, okay, sister. Okay, so first degree relatives, if they have history of breast cancer, okay, then we take them as high risk patients, and we will start the screening after 35 years of age, not after 50 years of age. Okay, and or women who have histological risk factors found at previous surgery. For example, on previous surgery, patient found to have atypical ductal hyperplasia. Okay, or patient have inherited BRCA1 BRCA2 mutation, more than 50% chance of developing breast cancer by the age of 8. Okay. So, investigation. So this is all about the screening. Okay, and we also perform mammography in patients who are symptomatic. Okay, patient coming with history of a breast lump, bloody discharge from the nipple. There is skin discoloration. Okay, so all these are signs symptoms of breast cancer. So, in those women, we can perform mammography after 35 years of age. Okay, we cannot perform mammography in symptomatic women before 35 years of age. Number one, the reason is that the we always calculate risk versus benefit. Okay, there is more risk of developing breast cancer if we give radiation at younger age. Okay. She may develop the breast cancer due to the radiation at younger age because of the radiation. So if we are giving radiation, for example, at the age of 25, so the due to the radiation, patient may develop cancer. Okay, maybe after 10, 15 years or 20 years. Okay, so still at that time she will be young. Okay, if we give radiation at 25, she may develop cancer at 40 years of age, 45 years of age. So still the patient is very young. So that's this is the reason we try to give the radiation at age which in which basically the benefit is more. Okay, after 35 years of age, first, and anatomically there is more fibroglandular tissue in young females. Okay, and after 35 years of age, females start to develop more fatty tissue. Okay, and due to this, the diagnosis of breast cancer is more easier in those mammograms. Surveillance of the breast following local excision of the breast carcinoma, investigation of the suspicious breast lump in a man. So these are some indications for mammography. Okay. Now, because it is X-ray, so we will talk about the mammographic views. Just like if we, matlab, if you think about chest, if for chest we take as posterior anterior chest X-ray, posterior anterior as a standard projection. Likewise, in mammography, we perform two standard views. One is mediolateral oblique view, which you can consider as lateral view, okay, and craniocaudal view. So this is not AP view. Okay, this is from top to down. Okay, we the X-ray beam is from above downwards. Okay, not anterior, posterior, or other projection. So this is craniocaudal and mediolateral oblique. Then there are some supplementary views. Supplementary views that what is the meaning of supplementary views? The views which are taken along with standard views to help in our diagnosis. Okay. So we can perform supplementary views also, like true lateral view, extended craniocaudal view, magnification view, localized compression, cleavage value view. So these are all supplementary views. And the reason why we perform them is to help in our diagnosis, to confirm our diagnosis. So these are images. Okay, you can see here that this is medial lateral oblique view. Why? Because the X-ray radiation we are giving from medial aspect, and the X-ray film you can see behind the breast tissue. This is X-ray film. So laterally there is X-ray film. So the projection of the beam is medial lateral. In this medial lateral oblique view, we can compress the pectoralis major muscle also. But in craniocaudal view, you will not be able to compress the pectoralis major. You can only compress the breast tissue, and the X-ray beam will be coming from above, and you can see that X-ray film is below the breast tissue. And this is the mammogram showing medial lateral oblique view, and this one is the craniocaudal view. You can see you cannot visualize the pectoralis major muscle in the craniocaudal view, but you can visualize the pectoralis major muscle in mediolateral oblique view. So you can differentiate between them by with the help of this pectoralis major muscle, that which one is the mediolateral oblique view and which one is craniocaudal view. So these are the two standard views. Okay, and this is special localized compression with magnification. Okay, these localized compression views are done. Again, this is a supplementary view to aid in our diagnosis. Okay, and these are mainly done to visualize only the area of interest where there is cancer. Okay, mediolateral oblique view. In I told you that the X-ray radiation is coming from medial aspect and the X-ray film is laterally. But we give 40 to 60-degree angulation to the tube, X-ray tube. Okay, that's why we also call it oblique, mediolateral oblique view. Okay, so in breast, as I told you, that dark areas are normal, which is fatty breast tissue. Okay, all these black areas in between are normal fatty breast tissue. Lighter areas are denser tissue, like the fibroglandular tissue. Okay, you can see these are the ducts. Okay, and this all white areas are fibroglandular tissue. Okay, and if you find any very white area like this, okay, very bright area, okay, then this can be due to the breast cancer. Okay, and we will later on discuss that what are different radiological features of benign breast cancer and malignant breast cancer. Again, this is a mediolateral oblique view. How can we identify? With the help of the pectoralis major muscle? And you can see that these white areas are the fibroglandular tissue, and surrounding the fibroglandular tissue, this is all fatty breast tissue. And you can see this white line. This white line is skin. So these four images are showing you the involution of the breast tissue from fibroglandular to fatty breast. You can see this must be a young female. Okay, you can see there is more fibroglandular tissue, and with the passage of time, you can see here it is localized. Okay, here it was completely fibroglandular tissue, here it is localized, then it becomes scattered, and later on it become complete fatty breast. Okay, there is more fatty breast tissue here. Okay, as compared to these three images. Okay, now we will talk about breast cancer, breast lesions. If we find a breast lesion, okay, on a mammogram, okay, it can be a radiolucent mass, or it can be a radio opaque mass, or sometimes we can find a mixed density mass. Okay, if we find a radiolucent mass, it can be a lipoma, it can be a galactosele, or it can be a oil cyst. Okay, if we find a radiopaque mass, it can be benign or it can be malignant mass. Benign masses include cyst, fibroadenoma, abscess, phyllodes, tumor, lymph node, and malignant masses may include DCA, lymphoma, or maybe a malignant lymph node. And one important thing, that cyst, okay, cyst contains fluid, and if you remember that on x-ray, fluid containing structures, they appear more brighter than the soft tissue. So cyst also appear radio opaque. Okay, so so basically, try to remember this thing. Density of fluid is more than the soft tissue. Okay, so it will be bright, okay, not dark. Whenever we see a mass, we describe its shape, capsule. Okay, there is one halo sign. I will show you what is halo sign. Whether the mass is well defined, ill defined. Okay, halo sign means that there is a mass surrounding the radiopaque mass. There is a surrounding rim of radiolucency. Okay, I will show you. When I will show you, you will understand. This is called halo sign. Okay, there are mixed density masses like fibroadenolipoma, which is also known as hematoma, galactosele, or lymph node. Cystic masses on the of the breast on mammography. Cystic lesion appear as round, oval, or lobulated mass with circumscribed margins. This can be reliably diagnosed with mammography, cannot be reliably diagnosed with mammography alone. Further evaluation with spot compression mammography or ultrasound uh, can confirm our diagnosis. So basically, ultrasound, normally, whenever we are performing mammography, we always perform check ultrasound along with the mammography, especially to differentiate between the cystic masses and the solid masses, because all the cystic masses, whether they are benign or malignant, okay, they will appear radiopaque masses. Okay, breast lesion. This is a breast lesion. Okay, you can clearly visualize it is well defined. Okay, although the inner margins are not clearly visualized because of the fibroglandular tissue, but you can see the outer margins, they are very well defined. Okay, and it is radio opaque. Okay, and it is present in the upper outer quadrant of the left breast, and it appeared to be a simple cyst when we perform the ultrasound. Okay, you can see with the help of ultrasound, we can clearly diagnose that this is a anechoic uh, uh, thin-walled cyst. Okay, which can be confirmed with the help of ultrasound. Cystic masses may be complex also. Cyst that meets all the criteria of simple cyst, except that it contains low-level internal echoes or fluid or fluid debris levels that can shift with changes in the patient position, is considered a complicated cyst. Complicated cyst in breast may be abscess, may be hemorrhage, or sometimes it may be malignancy also. Okay, this is a picture. This is a mammogram. Okay, craniocaudal mammogram showing dense breast. Okay, you can see that the breast is very dense. Okay, and inside the breast tissue there is a radio well defined. Okay, oval shape, okay, oval shape, well defined radiolucent mass seen. And because we know that radiolucency means that the mass contains fat, okay, and so it was diagnosed as lipoma. These are oil cysts. Oil cysts are also contain oil, so oil will be fat. Fat also appear radiolucent, but they are typically they have the curvilinear calcification. Okay, they can be diagnosed with the help of this curvilinear calcification with central lucency. This is a mixed density mass. You can see some areas are radiopaque, some areas are radiolucent, and it was confirmed as hematoma. Okay, and you can see surrounding the mass there is area of radiolucency. Okay, this is the halo sign. Okay, you can see the black arrows are indicating at the radiolucent rim. Okay, this radiolucent rim is suggestive of halo sign. Hello sign may be complete, may be incomplete. Okay, so it doesn't matter, but it indicates that the mass is benign. Yes. Any questions? The definition of hello sign means that uh, radiolucent rim surrounding a radio opaque mass. This is hello sign. Okay. Radiolucent rim or rim of radiolucency surrounding a radio opaque mass. Like here, you can again visualize that there is a radio opaque mass, oval shape, well defined. Okay, and posteriorly, you can see there is a rim of radiolucency. Here also, you can see there is a rim of radiolucency. This is indicative of basically halo sign, and it indicates that the mass is benign. Okay, first of all, if the mass is well defined, there are more chances of benign mass, but we have to confirm with the help of the biopsy. Okay, and but there are some radiological features which help in basically help us that whether the mass is well defined. If it is well defined with halo sign, okay, we label it as a benign mass, and what we can do is we can follow up the patient. Okay, not necessarily we perform biopsy or surgery. Okay, we what we can do is we can perform basically follow up ultrasound maybe, or follow up mammography. Okay, so calcifications sometimes in masses, radiopaque masses, you find calcifications. If the calcifications are macro means large calcifications, okay, there are more chances of benign masses. Okay, almost always non-cancerous and require no further follow-up. So if you find micro calcifications like very fine white specks of calcification, they are usually non-cancerous, but can sometimes be a sign of cancer. So whenever we see micro calcifications, okay, we have to suspect cancer, and we have to follow the patient like cancer patient. Okay, and if it is, especially if it is associated with a ill-defined mass, and there are basically fine white specks of calcification, okay, we consider it as a malignant mass, highly suspicious mass. Okay, so these are a few images of basically calcifications. Okay, showing you macro. You can see these are big calcifications. Basically, these are vascular calcifications. Whenever you see a calcification with central lucency, okay, round calcification with central lucency, these are vascular calcifications. They are benign calcifications, and you can see there is a radiopaque mass with central. There are tiny specks of calcification. Okay, again here also you can see tiny specks of calcification. Okay, very small dots, white dots. Okay, these are indicative of basically it they basically we have to confirm with biopsy, but we can label it as malignancy, and we have to perform biopsy in this kind of patient. Again, you can see that there is a mass, a radiopaque mass with surrounding. This is the halo sign. Very good halo sign. You can visualize in this mass, and it has a typical popcorn-like calcification. This is if you whenever you see a radiopaque mass with popcorn calcification, it is diagnostic for fibroadenoma. And fibroadenoma is the most commonest benign tumor of the breast, especially in young females. It develops in young females. And here you can see there is no radiopaque mass, but still you can visualize tiny specks of calcification. Again, in this area, we have to perform biopsy to confirm our diagnosis. It may be benign, but it may be cancerous also. Okay, now the ultrasound. Ultrasound is performed primarily to differentiate cystic from solid lesions. The ultrasound is not diagnostic. We have to perform the biopsy, and basically sonography or the ultrasound is mainly performed along with other imaging modalities like mammography and MRI to help in our diagnosis. These are indications for breast ultrasound. Any woman who is symptomatic, she has breast lump or any other symptom, females who have less than 35 years of age. As I told you, we cannot perform mammography in females who are less than 35 years of age. So if she is less than 35, we have to perform ultrasound. We cannot perform mammography. So breast lump developing during pregnancy or lactation, again, we do not perform mammography during the pregnancy or the lactation. So we can perform ultrasound, and most of the time during the pregnancy and lactation, females develop lactating adenomas, and they are benign, so they disappear after the pregnancy or lactating period. So we just follow up with the help of ultrasound. Assessment of mammographic abnormality. Okay, assessment of MRI or CT mammography detected lesions. So whenever we find any abnormality along with mammography and MRI, we always perform ultrasound. Clinical breast mass with negative mammograms, breast inflammation, augmented breast, like if we put a breast implant, we cannot perform mammography because we give compression in mammography, and then we can only perform ultrasound or MRI. Breast lump in a male, guidance of needle biopsy. Ultrasound is a very good tool for guiding the needle biopsies. Okay, follow up of breast cancer treated with adjuvant chemotherapy. Okay, this is the ultrasound image of the breast. You can clearly visualize that this is these are the ribs. Okay, you can see these are ribs. Okay, these are intercostal muscles, and this is the pectoralis major muscle. You can see that this is hypoechoic, and within the muscle there are fibers, muscle fibers, okay, representing as white lines. Okay, and this is the fibrogranular tissue, the breast tissue. Okay, and this is skin. Okay, skin. Okay, surrounding there. So basically fatty tissue and fibrogranular tissue appears heterogeneous. It gives heterogeneous appearance on ultrasound, and behind the fibrogranular tissue there is pectoralis major muscle. Okay. On ultrasound there are some basically radiographic findings which suggest that it is a benign mass or malignant mass. Like if there are calcifications inside a benign mass or inside a mass, okay, they will appear hyperechoic. They will be appear hyperechoic, and because as we have discussed that in benign masses there are macro calcifications, big calcifications. So if we see big calcifications on ultrasound in a mass, that again help in diagnosis that it is a benign mass. And if there is a mass which is hypoechoic, because if there are calcification in malignant mass, the calcifications are very small and they does not give any hyperechoic image in a malignant mass. So it the malignant mass are mostly hypoechoic, even if there are calcification inside, because they are very tiny, so they will not affect the image. Okay. And one more very important differentiating point is that benign masses are wider than tall. Okay. And the malignant masses are taller than wide. This is not always 100%, but most of the time, okay, the benign masses are wider than tall on ultrasound image. Okay. And they show lobulation but few lobulations. Okay. On the other hand, the malignant mass show microlobulations. Okay. And sometimes you see a thin capsule surrounding the breast mass. If there is a capsule, again it is an indication for benign breast mass. Okay, this is a mammogram and this is ultrasound image. You can clearly visualize there is a radiolucent mass with thin capsule. Okay, whenever there is radiolucent mass, it that means it is a fat containing structure. And on ultrasound, you can see the echogenicity is same like the breast tissue. So it is indicative that this is a lipoma. Okay, because breast also contains fatty tissue. Okay, so and you can see the very well defined mass with thin capsule. Okay, so this is a lipoma. Okay, this is a malignant mass. Why malignant mass? First of all, it is ill defined, and it is causing, because it is a malignant mass, it is causing architectural distortion. You can see the surrounding the mass, the normal breast tissue, the normal architecture of the breast tissue is distorted. Okay, taban. Okay, why taban? Because it is pulling the other tissues towards itself. Okay, and the margins of the mass is highly ill-defined and infiltrative. Okay, and on ultrasound also you can clearly visualize the margins are not very clear, and you can see it, the mass is taller than wide. Okay, so if it is taller than wide, ill-defined, and showing microlobulations, okay, so this is a malignant mass. Okay, so we have discussed the cyst. I told you that cysts will appear anechoic on ultrasound, and if it is a simple cyst, it will show you thin echogenic capsule, enhanced through transmission, okay, and thin edge shadows. Okay, these are edge shadows. Okay, these are characteristics of a simple cyst. Okay, you can see shadows at the edges, and posteriorly you can see the because all the ultrasound waves are passing easily through the cyst. They so posteriorly there is good transmission. Due to the good transmission, there is posterior enhancement of the image. Okay, it is more brighter. Okay, this is called posterior acoustic enhancement. Okay, in stone there is shadowing. In cis there will be enhancement, and we can confirm easily confirm with the help of we can with the help of the ultrasound we can put a syringe and we can aspirate the cyst and we can confirm our diagnosis, and even we can send for cytology also. Okay, breast masses may be complex. We have discussed this. This is just a repetition. Okay, if it is complex, it may have diffuse low-level internal echoes, fluid debris level, septations, wall thickening, and the differentials include the infection or malignancy like this. Okay, so there are a very high chances of basically, if clinically there are no chance, basically sign symptoms of inflammation. Okay, if there are no basically the clinical picture is not suggestive of inflammation, then there are very high chances of breast malignancy also, because there are malignancies which are cystic also. Okay, then this is a chart showing you the basically according to the age, the different masses in the breast. Okay, if you see that at a young age, if females develop a breast a lump, okay, it is more likely to be a fibroadenoma. Okay, it is mostly fine, round, mobile, non-tender. If a female develops a breast mass between 25 to 50 years of age, it can be, according to the incidence, there are more chances of developing cyst, then fibrocystic changes, then cancer. In the last, the cancer. And over 50 years of age, it is considered cancer until proven otherwise. Okay. During pregnancy and lactation, females develop lactating adenoma, cysts, mastitis, and sometimes cancer, but more chances of benign pathologies. So this is just a repetition for you. Okay. These are benign breast masses. Why they are benign? Because you can see this is wider. The mass is, this is an ultrasound image. You can see it is wider than tall. And you can see the second image. You can see it is very well defined. It has a thin capsule. You can see the capsule also. And you can see here also that there are few lobulations. Whenever there are few lobulations, then it is a benign mass. Again, it is a benign mass, and these are examples of fibroadenoma. You can see that this is wider than tall, okay, and it has few lobulations. We can perform the needle biopsy to confirm our diagnosis. Tissue diagnosis obtained without surgery. Benign, one procedure, no surgery. There is no recovery time. Malignant, one minimal invasive procedure, then shift the patient to OR to confirm the diagnosis. No cosmetic scarring. Risk of needle biopsy may include bleeding, but actually there is no major blood vessel present in the breast, so there are very less chances of developing bleeding, and any bleeding can be controlled with the help of the pressure. Okay, infection, there are chances of infection, but we can, if we use sterilized techniques, we can reduce the chances of infection. Now, the third imaging modality we use for imaging the breast is MRI. Okay, always remember this. MRI, as we all know, that MRI has the best soft tissue contrast. So, to see the true size, extent, and of the tumor, okay, size, shape, and to true extent of the tumor, we always prefer MRI over all the other imaging modalities. Okay, so this is the biggest advantage of MRI. Okay, and the main purpose of performing MRI in breast is to perform staging, because in staging the most important thing is the size of the tumor. Okay, in staging of the tumor there are three things. One is tumor in TNM staging, lymph node, and metastasis. So lymph nodes we can also visualize with the help of MRI, ultrasound, but the important thing is tumor. So tumor size, to see the actual tumor size, MRI will give you a better image as compared to mammogram or ultrasound. Okay, so suspected multiple or bilateral cancers, these are some indications basically, and it is the best modality to differentiate between a scar tissue and a recurrence, because on X-ray, okay, scar tissue is fibrous tissue. After surgery, okay, after biopsy or surgery, okay, the area from where we take the biopsy or we perform the surgery, that area will become fibrous due to the inflammatory. Initially, there will be inflammatory changes, then there will be fibrosis. So that area after the surgery or after biopsy, that area will become appear like same like the malignancy. So to differentiate between a scar and is there any chances of recurrence, it is very difficult on mammogram or ultrasound, but MRI can differentiate between them. So this is the biggest advantage of MRI. Okay, and this rule can be applied anywhere in the body. If there is a tumor of any tissue in the body, okay, and if we want to differentiate between a surgical scar and a recurrence, okay, MRI is the best modality. The optimum method for imaging the breast implants and detecting the implant leakage or rupture. Pre-operative evaluation, detection, recurrence after surgery. Look, here you can see a radio opaque mass on mammogram. Okay, you can see that it is appearing ill-defined. Okay, infiltrative margins, but we don't know that these are post-surgical changes or is there any recurrence here. But after MRI, okay, we have given contrast. Okay, and after the contrast you can see there is enhancement here. Okay, do that suggests that there is a recurrence after surgery, because if there is fibrous tissue that will not enhance. Okay, so that's the end of the breast imaging. Okay, I will just summarize. Okay, the different radiological features and the clinical features of the breast cancer. Okay, breast cancer will the symptoms include the breast patient will come with painless lump or swelling and ill-defined thickening of the skin. There may be nipple retraction or discharge from the nipple. Okay, or there may be swelling in the armpit due to the lymph node enlargement. On mammography, the breast cancer will appear as a radio opaque or mixed density mass and with specular margins. Okay, specular means like infiltrative star shaped margins. Okay, uh, there will be microcalcification and the mass will be ill defined. On ultrasound, the mass will appear hypoechoic, speculated, taller than white with duct. Sometimes you can see the extension into the duct, okay, and microlobulations. Like this is, you can see there is a ill-defined, okay, infiltrative or the radio opaque mass with speculated margins, and you can see clearly visualize there is a surrounding architectural distortion. Okay, and on ultrasound you can see the mass is taller than wide. Okay, and you can see the infiltrative margins. Okay, you can see the infiltration into the soft tissues also. So after diagnosis of breast cancer, okay, in TNM staging, okay, after T and N, lymph node and tumor, the important thing is metastasis. The breast cancer most commonly metastasize to lungs, okay, and liver and brain and bone. Okay. These four are the most common sites: lung, liver, bone, and brain. Okay, so we whenever we diagnose breast cancer, we always screen the patient for metastasis. Okay, so chest X-ray may show pulmonary metastasis. CT scan of the liver and the brain is of value when metastases are suspected in these areas. Okay, this picture is showing you the area of involvement. Okay, incidence according to the basically quadrants. As I told you, that the upper outer quadrant is the most common site for developing breast cancer. Okay, so this is the chest X-ray showing multiple round radio opaque densities. Okay, these are typical for cannonball metastasis. Okay, so basically the main purpose in breast cancer is screening. We perform screening with the help of mammography. Mammography screening is patient screening is performed in patients who have no complaints or symptoms of breast cancer. The goal of screening is mammography is to detect the breast cancer when it is still too small, so the prognosis will be much better. We recommend that women being who are begin receiving the screening mammograms every 1 to 2 years after the age of 40. Okay? Mammographic screening is the key to early detection of the breast cancer. Women in their 40s should get mammograms every 1 to 2 years. Beginning at the age of 50, mammography should be performed every year. Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions? You can ask me now.